Okay, but you know what girls do? We do size each other up, but I think it's different criteria. It's not whether I can take on someone.
Is she prettier than me? Or is she smarter than me? What do you
Some
think
girls,
look at?
some girls, it's about, because pretty equals popular, right?
Welcome, beautiful people, to the Lost and Local podcast. We're Adam,
And Hannah.
two Korean citizens who grew up abroad and are now figuring out life in Korea.
Join us as we share stories and our honest perspective on what it means to be lost and local.
All right, so we like to get into the rhythm of our podcast by doing an icebreaker. So in line of the topic of our podcast today, Hannah, when you move to a new place and you recently moved last year and now moving to another one, what's your go-to strategy for making new friends?
This is a very difficult question.
Okay.
So I had to think through what I think is just normal and natural and break it down into what am I actually doing strategy wise.
Oh.
I think I reach out to people who, this sounds so calculative. I'm so
Okay.
sorry.
So I'm interested.
Okay. But to people who are kind of on the outskirts.
Oh.
So not the people who are saying hi to
in
everyone.
crowd.
Yeah. And it seems like they already know everyone and they're in the center of attention. I go to people on the outskirts who maybe are alone or maybe are kind of standing away from the crowd. And I usually talk. I just be like, oh, how did you end up here? And just kind of get a context. Once I get that context, I end up talking a lot about my work as a teacher because most people have gone to high school. And it's recent enough that they're interested in what I do. And a lot of people are like, oh, so what do teenagers talk about these days? And so I'll have a couple stories or a couple new terms that my students taught me that week. And I'll use that to, kind of break the ice. And they're usually very interested. And so that's sort of my strategy.
Oh, that's very intentional.
I don't know, but I did it not knowing I was doing that
you just
repertoire.
kind of put the pieces together.
Yeah, but then I was like, wow, I'm a very calculative person in a sense.
Yeah.
So maybe Adam is right. Maybe I am a thinker and not a feeler. Very strategic.
Oh, that's good because you're thinking about what is a common denominator right off the bat.
Yeah.
And everyone obviously had to go to school and university.
Yeah.
So. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
That's me. What about you? What's your go-to strategy?
It's interesting that it's semi-similar to yours. My biggest thing is observation.
Oh.
So I like to observe and determine how I can go into that conversation to figure out where I can find a common denominator.
Oh, okay.
It's not technically the idea of making new friends per se as it is getting acquainted with a said person. I'll make note of what they're wearing. Oftentimes I'll try to compliment them like, oh man, I love your shirt. That's really cool. That way they'll be they'll feel good about themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, oh wow, your shirt says New York. Have you been to New York? That's awesome. And then and if they say something or an answer that's not something I can resonate with, I'll continue to dig and just find something that I can eventually get them to be like, wow, he's like me. He can understand me.
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't have a strategy in making friends, but I do have definite intentional ways to put a person at ease. Because I was in retail banking. You have to constantly find a way to get them to trust you and to see themselves, for them to see me as a person that's advocating for them, as well as, quite frankly, church too. When I make acquaintances at church, I try to do whatever I can to dig deeper, to just naturally find out what's going on. Like, for example, there was an acquaintance at church on Sunday. Eventually, I got it out that they grew up in California. He ended up going to Diamond Bar High School, and I lived a stone's throw away from Diamond Bar High School.
Oh, I see.
So I was able to eventually find something, and then that gets that person to be like, oh, wow, we have commonality. So I just like to dig. And the more I dig, the more I can find ways for them to feel close to me.
Yeah.
And for them to not trust me, but to like be like, oh,
Open up.
this guy's cool. Like he can relate to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my strategy is observe, talk, and ask questions. And a lot of eye contact, a lot of like just really showing intentionality and but I try to make it as hopefully as natural as possible.
Oh, very natural, very natural.
Yeah, but that's what I do.
Wow.
But I don't know, maybe I'm just getting older, but I don't really go in with the idea of like, this person looks really cool. I kind of want to be a friend with this guy.
I see.
I don't really do that per se. I think it just naturally happens. Yeah.
Wait, follow-up question to this icebreaker. Do you think you were taught how to do this or it just came naturally?
Definitely was not a natural thing.
Oh.
At all.
Okay.
If you would have seen Adam at the age of 20 and 30, I was nowhere near developed.
Really?
So for example, I was a youth pastor for, at that point, maybe 11, 12 years. So I had like, and I was in retail banking, but we moved down to California and I thought I had left youth ministry. So we joined a church plant team. Naturally, I had worship skills. So they asked me to lead worship.
Yeah.
But before they realized that I led worship, we were doing the church plant and they were asking people, hey, you know, what do you feel called to do? What are some of your gifts? And they're like, we're really looking for people that have skills in welcoming, that are people, you know, people that can be people, basically. I was like, oh my gosh, I hope they don't ask me that.
Really?
So when I got the praise position after service, you know what I'd do? I would like slowly put the praise equipment away. I would do everything I could not to mingle with people. And this was after years of ministry and retail banking.
Okay. Just for context for our listeners, this is so shocking to me because now Adam is like, he makes a beeline for the people after service.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm the one like slowly coiling up the cables, putting away his guitar.
You're not like that. You're actually much better than you're saying.
Some days though, I'm just kind of like, I need my peace.
True.
And I'll like take my time like cleaning up. And then I see Adam already he's talked to like 4 different teams already.
I go around and do my rounds.
Yeah.
And when I was in university, I was the person in the back seat. I mean, the back row. When we had chapels, I was a person in the back row.
Wow.
Yeah.
God really developed you into this person.
I think it helped because I'm introverted and I'm observant. I was able to, over the years, garner a lot of like data about people observations. Because I'm introverted, but I love being around people. And even sometimes just sitting down at a park bench and watching people is really fascinating.
Yeah.
My mind will start spinning. I'm like, what would life be like if I knew this person? And I'll start thinking about like how, like, I would start getting sad. Like, oh my gosh, like I could have known this person. I could have like, I think like, oh, this person, if they went to church, I could see them crying and like turning to the Lord. I would just like start making all these stories up in my mind. Yeah. So I like observing people. And I think because of that, little did I know that it actually developed a skill to where at the age of many years later, I'm able to naturally do it.
Yeah.
But it's not something that I'm inclined to do.
I see. But now you've been trained to be pretty like good at. Yeah. Because Adam was so welcoming my first week. And I am pretty sure a lot of people at our church would say Adam was the one to welcome them.
I try.
Yeah.
Not always, but I try my best.
So when I hear that you're introverted and like a couple years back, you wouldn't volunteer to be on the welcoming team. Well, that's really shocking to me.
Would I do that?
Wow. Cause right now him and Hyojin, they're like the people to go to. Like even our pastor's like, oh, have you met Adam? And he like introduces them to you.
Hyojin is much more introverted than me. but I think over the years, she's gotten more skilled at it like me. And so
I wouldn't have known.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyways. Good side note. But yeah, I think that you're very good at it too. I've seen just in the what you've been part of my life for 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
And the 9 months of just church activities, you do a really good job at small talk, a really good job at talking with people. I mean, you think you don't have the skill, or
I don't think so.
You're really good at it.
Oh,
I think
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's encouraging because in my mind, I'm like, oh, that was awkward. Ah, that was cringe.
Listen, when I was this sounds I sound old. When I was your age. No, but when I was your age, that's exactly what I was not volunteering to do.
Oh.
I did not have the social, emotional intelligence that I had then at your age.
Oh.
That you're way ahead of me.
Wow, really? Okay.
Way ahead of me.
There's hope for Hannah.
Hope for Hannah. You're above average, if not way above average than most people.
You're too kind.
Yeah. So, yeah. How about you? How do you? I mentioned small talk, but when you're interacting with people and you're looking out for, I guess when your example was you're looking for people that you could possibly strike up a friendship with.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Spending the past decade in a city like Boston really like trained me to be more like active when pursuing friendships.
Okay.
Because it's so transient. People are gone, here and gone. Like in a year or two, they're like here and gone. So I think after that happened to me the first time, like I was really, really close to my roommates immediately after college. We were a trio and like they were my world basically. We did everything together. We spent the holidays together. Like we were so tight knit. Okay. But then they were done with grad school and then they moved to a different country and I had to start from scratch. Okay. Like actual scratch, because in those 2 years that I lived with them, I didn't really invest in any other people because I was like, these are my people. I just need these 2 people. I don't need anyone else. So I was just kind of like keeping people at arm's length. And I was like, oh, you can't enter the inner sanctuary.
So you had to hit the reset button.
And that was so painful. Okay. And people were like, why is she talking to us? Because she wasn't really invested. And now she's like trying to invest. And so then I was like, oh, like there is a need for different types of friendships and to like not have like a strict boundary on like who is my best friend versus who is just a friend versus who is an acquaintance. So that kind of like challenged me. And so I was like, oh, like through church, let me just be a little more open. Work is a little harder because most people are married. And so
that makes sense.
With kids, like picking up their kids and like driving them to places, like it's hard for them to really invest. And so church was usually like the place that I got to meet new people.
What was the size of your church, by the way? I've never asked you this.
I think college students were like 200 to 250.
Oh, that's
and then
big.
Young adults were 150.
Oh, yeah.
It was a pretty big church.
And then after university, when you were in Boston for the 7-8 years that you were teaching, what was the size of your church that you were attending?
That's the size.
Oh, so you stayed after university, you stayed at the same church?
Yeah.
Oh.
Starting my junior year.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't flesh this out before.
Yeah. All throughout my 20s, I was at one church.
Oh.
Yeah.
It seems like you're one of those like really like loyal friends. If they because you were so loyal to the core besties.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't there that saying like ride
or die?
Yeah, ride or die. Is that what it is?
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was always like quality over quantity. So I don't need 15 friends. I just need 2 really good friends. But like some seasons, I think that's possible, but I don't think it sustains forever unless we're talking about spouses.
Yeah, because you're naturally likely to move in different directions.
Yeah.
So that is a challenge for someone like you who wants to to find that deep, small group of core people
Yeah.
when you're at a stage in life where nothing's really that
Stable.
solid and
Yeah.
stable yet?
No. Yeah. Very true.
Oh.
So I changed in my mid-20s. I went from like, I'm gonna stick to this group to being like, anyone can be my friend.
So you were kind of kicked out of the nest in a way, and you
Yep.
kind of had to like.
Yep. And then
Yeah.
I went through this interesting phase of my life where I was like, I want to figure out what my spiritual gifting is.
Okay.
And so I ended up serving in almost every single ministry at my church.
Well, that's kind of smart.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little too calculative, but
No, that's great.
like I already knew I was good at administrative things because I'm a very organized teacher.
Okay.
Like I'm type A teacher. So I was like, like I don't want to explore that gift. Let me
Okay.
explore some other gifts.
Oh.
So I tried everything except for children's ministry because children are frightening to
You're
me.
scared of them.
Yeah. Like
That's so funny.
I think teenagers are so funny and so
Yeah.
cool, but like little children scare me.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, I'm,
because
like,
a lot of
terrified.
people love the children, but they're scared of the junior
Teenage-
hires and high school. They're like, oh my god.
Split. But I didn't do children's ministry, but I did like I led small groups.
Okay.
I did praise team. I was a part of hospitality. We had a separate welcoming team. I did. Oh yeah, that's basically what I did. I was a part of missions, but I didn't go on missions. But we would send like 1-year missionaries to some like partner church,
Okay.
and I'd be in charge of like praying for them, finding
Okay.
a prayer group, and like keeping them updated. So I've done a lot of different things, and I think that's when I realized like small talk is an art. It's like a muscle that you can improve. Like people aren't born great at like navigating new situations. Like you said, you have to observe and also find ways to build connections, which was really hard for me because I grew up internationally. The minute someone was like, "Where's home for you?" and I was like China, but I'm Korean. Immediately they wouldn't be able to find connections with me, and they kind of in a way like exoticize me, and they're like, "Wow, then how do you speak English so fluently?" And we would get further and further and further. And so then I was like, "Oh, I have to find a way to not have them focus so much on our differences, and like what's a way that we can talk about something in common?" And that ended up being high school.
So
my job.
Follow-up question. Do you have some of those? Have you kept in contact with elementary, junior high, high school aged friendships? Have you been able to retain any of those friendships?
Yeah. So that's a huge blessing for me because it's so rare for missionary kids to have that.
Okay.
So a lot of my really close friends are people I knew since elementary school.
Really?
Yeah. Like
Are any of them in Korea?
Yeah, some of them are.
Oh.
Like we ended up going to the same boarding school in Korea. Like our parents taught together in China. Then we moved to a boarding school in Korea together. We played soccer. We played on the same soccer team.
And wow.
And then some of them went to the same college as I did. Some of them stayed in Korea. And then, yeah, there's something about having a shared childhood that just, it's different.
Yeah, because you have experiences that only you guys can relate to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, that's cool. That's a gift.
It is
to have
it's a huge blessing.
friendships from that long ago. Wow. Were you able to, because some of your friends came from the China mission field area to your school in high school and high school, were you able to branch off and make new friends, or did you stay like within that circle of group?
Oh, I think I didn't really branch out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys have like a core group, and then you all had the same acquaintances, but the acquaintances wanted to be your friends, but then you still had that core group, but then you had another?
Nobody wanted to be my friend. Not in a bad way. Like as in I was so focused on two things: getting good grades and playing soccer. Like I was very zoned in, and I didn't have the capacity to do other things.
Okay.
So in that way, like people weren't like dying to be my friend. They're like, oh, she's the girl that's like very driven and like soccer. And because I lived in a dorm, like it's just naturally easier for me to be friends with my dorm sisters than with like people who weren't in the boarding program.
Okay.
Because like the dorms, not only would I share a room with them, like we would spend the whole weekend together.
Some of the students at the school weren't part of the dorm program.
No, yeah.
They live with their parents.
Yeah. About like 40%, 40% of them were like commuters.
Okay.
And then there was a bigger number of dorm students.
I feel like they might have felt outsiders.
No, I really think so. And they would like want to hang out with us in our dorms afterwards. And then they would have to go because we would all go to the cafeteria for dinner.
And then they would go home.
Yeah, they would go home. So I tended to stick to my dorm sisters and my soccer friends, which already is like 20 something people, right? 20, 25 people. I already felt like that was a big group. And so I didn't really invest in other friendships.
Okay, I've got an interesting question.
Yeah.
In the communities that you had, whether it was in Seoul, not Seoul, Daegu, or wherever, where you... Daejeon. And then when you went to university in the Boston area, in that group of 2 or 3, whatever, that core group, were you the leader or were you the follower? Or was it equal? I'm interested.
I think it was equal.
Oh, yeah. Do ladies do girls in their friendships, females, do they not have a hierarchy? Do you not have a pecking order?
Wait, that is such a fascinating question.
Because there is with guys.
There's a pecking order?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Unsaid.
Oh.
Unsaid, but definite.
I mean, there are girl friendships that look like Mean Girls. Do you know the movie?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah.
But I saw it like years ago.
Where there's a definite like pretty leader girl who gets to be really mean.
A leader girl
who gets to be mean to the other girls.
Okay. Yeah.
So I definitely know girls who are in those kinds of cliques. I just was never one of those girls. I had no patience.
Who made like when the 2 or 3 people are hanging out, who makes the decisions? Like where you want to go out to eat? Do you all just like judiciously decide together? There isn't usually one person that's like, let's do this, and everyone just follow.
Oh, that's what you mean. Oh, by pecking order.
I mean, that's just one example.
I see.
It could be other things too.
There are certain things where I have a stronger opinion and other areas where I have no opinion. So I let someone else, whoever has the stronger opinion, do what they want. So within my friendships, I don't think there's a pecking order, but there are preferences. Yeah.
Okay.
But tell me more about this pecking order within guy friendships.
Yeah, with guys, at least in junior high and high school, grade school, there's definitely a pecking order. In a guy or a guy circle friendship, one guy's generally going to make the decisions.
Oh.
Yeah. We're going to go here. It's not like, hey, where do you guys all want to go out to eat? One person will make the decision. So in my group of growing up, junior high and high school especially, we had an outer group, guys, of about 10 to 12. But then my best friend growing up, I mentioned this off camera. He and I were like core, the 2 core. And then everyone else was like, we'd hang out with whoever wanted to hang out, but it was always ended up just being us 2. But he was the natural leader out of the big group of people. If you wanted to do something, everyone would generally just follow.
Interesting.
The reason why our friendship was really good, I would tell him off when he was like being a jerk. Or I would tell him the truth. Stop being a baby. I know you always want to win, but you're just going to have to like deal with it. I would generally follow him though. I would do usually what he wanted to do. But the reason why we were so core between the 2 of us is that I would tell him off when he's like being out of line.
I see.
But there was definitely a pecking order. He was the alpha of that group.
Is this based on like how outspoken you are, how tall you are, how like fit you are? Like what is the criteria?
I mean, he could take me in a fight.
It's just strength.
There is strength involved. He could take me because he's close to 6 foot.
Oh, I see.
If he was my weight, I would easily take him unfortunately, he can't respond because unfortunately he passed.
Oh,
But
no, I'm so sorry.
But yeah, if he was my weight, I would obliterate him. But just because of the fact that he was 6', 180, and I'm in high school, I'm 5'5", 140. He's gonna take me.
I
but
see.
There is generally the stronger guy will end up being the alpha.
Interesting.
And at least back in the old days.
Okay.
Now maybe in like a nerd group, it's the smartest guy.
But it's still a strength.
Yeah,
right?
There's still the alpha. But I've found that outside of him, my other relationships, I would generally defer and let when I went to my Korean church and I was 20 and I went to my first Korean church, there was a leader. Out of like the 3 or 4 of us. And I was the youngest out of the 3 or 4 college guys. So, and in Korea, in the Korean thing, you have to defer.
Yeah.
You can't be like the main leader.
Yeah.
So I would see the leaders and I'm like, I don't ever want to be a leader.
Oh.
But the interesting thing is I just became a leader after doing
ministry for years. Yeah.
And now I'm like, I consider myself a pretty decent leader, but it's interesting that I'm naturally a better follower.
This is surprising that like guys are almost primal. Like it's like evolution.
Oh, do you know every time I meet a guy, I will instantly size him up and determine if I can take him.
Why?
Immediately. It's just it's an animalistic natural instinct.
I want to hear what the Gen Zs think about Adam's thing about sizing another person.
It's a natural thing I do immediately. Yeah. And
so fascinating.
Yeah, I will immediately determine if I can take him.
Yeah.
But it's not because I want to fight him or hurt him. I'll just immediately size up and be like, because that's what animals do when they first meet each other.
I know.
And that's exactly what I do.
Wow.
I will immediately determine. And then if it's close, I'll be like, okay. He's got the size on me, but I'm quicker and I'm stronger. So he might be taller than me, but my skills, my wrestling skills and working out all these years, I could probably take him.
Okay, but you know what girls do? We do size each other up, but I think it's different criteria. It's not whether I can take on someone.
Is she prettier than me? Or is she smarter than me? What do you
some girls, it's about, because pretty equals popular, right?
Okay.
So like, I know girls who are like, I'm the queen bee because I have more attention from guys. Okay. I know groups like that. I'm not a part of that group.
Okay.
But what my friend group we size girls on is like whether you're a girl who only has guy friends or whether you're a girl who has girlfriends. Oh. Yeah, that's the distinction that I make, and some of my friends would agree. Because there's a certain girl who can only have guy friends. Like she can never have girlfriends. Like she's a little too catty. Like she's a little too obsessed with her like popularity. And so like you'll ask her and she'll be like, oh yeah, you're the first girlfriend I've ever had in my life. And then you're like, I think I know why. Oh, like you don't know how to have girl friendships.
Oh, interesting.
I've learned something new about guys or about Adam's psyche.
I'm just an old man. What do I know? Now that you spent a year in Korea or close to a year, do you find it harder to make friends as an adult? Why or why not?
Oh, yeah. Definitely harder to make friends. But I would say that the friendships I made as an adult they're much richer than the friendships I made as a student. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's definitely harder because by the time you're 30, half of the group has already got married and have kids.
Okay.
So already there, it's really hard to relate.
It's harder to foster that friendship because they're at a different complete stage.
Completely different life stage. They also have different priorities. Friendship is not in the top 5 anymore. Yeah. It's like,
which makes sense.
Their spouse,
kind of have to,
their kids, their extended family, focus on the kids, finances. Like that's the priority. It's not friendships. And so it is harder. Like, even like with existing friendships, if they start dating and they get married, it shifts the dynamics. And so it is hard, and then also like you don't have shared commonalities anymore. Like you're not in the same dorm
with the kids, and you're not in the proximity and being near them as an adult,
and you're not always as invested in church, because like in college, like almost everyone lived and breathed our
life.
church. Yeah. Like that's your community. That's who you hang out with. Like everything is that community. But once you become an adult, like some people are constantly traveling. So you don't get to have like a consistent relationship with them. Some people are like rediscovering where they are with their faith. And so there's no consistency. There's not that much commonality. And like my friends in finance, I have no idea what you do. And they also don't really know what I do and like what I struggle with. And so it's harder to find those common things. But once you do find someone who has commonalities, I think the friendship is much deeper and much richer. Because some of my friends growing up, I'm so sorry if you're listening. Like if we had grown up, if we had met
now instead of as a child.
Yeah. Instead of having such a unique MK TCK experience, I'm kind of like, I don't know if we would have been friends.
But that's still very special because of that history, and because you went through things that you can have stories and memories that
shared
none of your
experiences
current friends would ever relate to. So that's a different type of friendship.
It is. And they're different, right? Like those childhood friendships, we've gone through so many things together that even though we're different, we have a shared, some sort of shared memory, shared experience.
Sure.
And then the people I became friends with as an adult were more aligned in values and like our thought processes, what we're trying to pursue.
Now
in
you
life.
can choose. Before it was just like convenience. You're in my same vicinity, so you're naturally my friend.
Yeah. You're my neighbor, so we like see each other all the time. We walk to school together. But like as an adult, you have to put intentional thought and time into like meeting up with them. And I think I know myself. I know myself more than when I was a kid. So I know the people that are going to give me life instead of draining my energy. Like,
for sure.
I have more discernment in a sense. Yeah. What about you?
I unfortunately lost my dearest friendships early on. Well, not early. One I lost when I was in my 20s. He died from a drunk driver. Unfortunately.
So
and I was his best man in his wedding. And then my other friend was my childhood friend also I knew him since first grade. And he unfortunately passed 6 years ago.
Oh no.
So after going into ministry, I remember one of my youth group kids said, "Adam, do you have any friends?" Because I was always like with the youth group kids.
I see.
And serving them. And being with them. So I'm like, at first I was a little offended. Like, of course I have friends, but I didn't have any current friends. It's not easy to make friends as an adult when I was in my mid to late 20s, because it's like you're either working or you're doing ministry. So when do you have the capacity to make friends?
Yeah.
When I moved to California and helped out a church plant for a year before God put me back into youth ministry, was the first time I started making friends with people close to my age. And it was strange. God bless them. They were an amazing family that were close to Hyojin and my age. I wasn't used to having friends, and he'd be like, "Come over to our house and let's play some games." Like, they like the typical, what's that game a lot of Koreans like to play? It's a strategy game. Goodness gracious.
That Korean
Catan.
Koreans like to play Catan?
Are you kidding me?
Oh, I did not know that.
Korea, at least on the West Coast, Catan's huge. And they're like, come over and play Catan.
Catan's fun.
And I really love this family. They're great. And I could, if I stayed in California and never went back to be a youth pastor, I could see myself being friends with them. As much as they were endearing to me, I was like, every Friday we have to go and play Catan. Like, I do want to spend some time with my wife, you know? So it was weird to kind of have friendships that were as an adult in my 30s.
I see.
I'm not the type of person that feels like they need core friendships, because I think that my wife gives me most of my like need for friendship because she's my companion, my partner, my wife, and we genuinely love hanging out with each other. I talked about how COVID was amazing for us because we got to spend time with each other all the time. I see the benefit of having friendships. And I think as I get older, I need to invest more in that.
Yeah.
But I'm not the best friend material. But I should learn to be. You know, like there's in the Bible, there's David. And King David was a very F guy, I think.
Oh, feeler?
Yeah. And he speaks of his friendship with Jonathan. And I'm like, oh my gosh. It almost makes me envious. Wow, you had that type of like
friendship,
ride or die friendship. Like that's amazing. I think when I was younger, I was more apt to being open to friendships. And I did make them, but now that I'm older, it just, I don't know, it's harder for me.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm the best friend material out there. If I were an outsider, I'd be like, stay away from that guy.
Oh no, you're being too harsh.
Yeah.
But that I think when I see you and Hyojin, I definitely want to get married because you get to do everything with your best friend.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
for sure.
That's what I wish I had.
Yeah. I mean, and I hope that we find you during this time. Someone eventually comes into your life, but you have to introduce them to me.
Where are you?
You have to introduce them to me because I'm a good reader of people.
You are.
I can observe and I'm pretty good at it.
Definitely gonna bring him.
Yeah.
On the pod.
Yeah. And I'm gonna have to like really sit down with this man. But, yeah.
Okay. I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
We did talk about pecking order a little bit, but what do you think about friendships, like guy friendships versus girl friendships? Like, okay, so for context, one of my friends is convinced that girls do not have as close of a friendship as guys because like we're catty and like we'll stab each other in the back, whereas guys are like very simple and they're like they hang out together and they're so aka their friendships are deeper. Sure. But my perspective is that guys don't talk. Like you guys don't really talk about anything.
Yeah, you know, I consider myself pretty deep thinker, right? But when it comes to guys, I usually will not dive that deep into thought with other guys.
Why is that?
Maybe guys are scared to show vulnerability to each other.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, even though, yes, we live in the mental health stage and we're very cognizant of mental health and friendships and talking and being communicative. But I think it's still natural for us guys to suck it up. You know, be a man. Like no one wants to hear you crying about your excuses. Like no one wants to hear that. Let's just go and talk about sports. Let's talk about politics. Let's down a beer and laugh and stuff like that. Yeah. I don't drink beer and I don't have guys that I hang out and drink with. I'm just saying what other guys do.
Yeah.
I think guys, because we don't want to go deep when we do hurt each other, we just brush it off and we're like, hey, well, it is what it is.
I see.
And we can usually just bond over something else because we don't dive too deep. We don't get hurt too deep.
Oh, I see.
But you think for women, you think, I don't think it's the cattiness as much as women expect more than guys.
I agree.
Right?
Well, I'm not a guy, but in my friendships with guys, quality time is we're just watching the Super Bowl together. Like that's quality time. Okay. Whereas for girls, that would not be quality time. Like I gotta know what's going on in your life, like to every single detail to say that, oh, I've spent some quality time with you. So
I'm interested on this whole friendship factor because I mean, Lord willing, you find your mate, your partner, your ride or die to die for life or whatever you call it. Would you rather that person be talkative and express himself, or would you rather that person be more of a listener and listen to what's going on in your mind, in your life? Or do you want it to be 50-50?
He can't be both. He can't be both. No.
I'm just asking, like, what would, if you had to pick one or the other?
Oh dear. Oh, can't he just be normal?
Hey, if you say normal, he's not gonna talk at all.
Oh no, that's so sad. Like, obviously, I don't want him to talk all the time and never listen to me. Like, it needs to be a back and forth. Will you accept my answer?
Okay.
Wait,
you have
why?
a high standard then.
Oh wait, why do you ask?
Because I think most guys will. You're getting a gem if he is a good listener.
Oh, that's so sad.
I feel like. Because I think the tendency for people is to be more selfish and just make it about them. But if you get a guy that's a really good listener and really loves you and considers you,
he'll listen.
Yeah, he'll listen. Of course, you do want someone to banter back with that can like stay at your level of intelligence and emotional like feedback back and forth.
Yeah, I don't like people who just say yes to everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it drives me crazy because then all the responsibility is on me.
Okay.
To make decisions. Wait, but how do we get here?
I don't know. I did a side question.
I see. But you brought up a point. We were talking about this off camera, and you did bring up a point that boys forget. Like,
yeah.
If you get hurt, you we
forgive and forget.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you ask two guys what they thought about the month before, remember. They'll be like, dude, I don't remember.
Whereas girls, they'd be like, okay, the first time. They like name every single detail.
Oh,
yeah.
Because even when my wife and I get in an argument or disagreement, I won't remember what in the world, what even started it.
I see.
From a month ago or 6 months ago, and he'll just be like, "Oh, this is what happened." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't remember."
That's so funny.
Yeah. What's a friendship or community that surprised you by how deep it became?
Oh, this is a great question. My church did something called microchurches. And it started because of COVID and we couldn't gather as a huge congregation. So we started combining like 2 or 3 households and they were like one pod and you would meet in person in like groups less than 10 to just do service together. At first I loved it, but then because people in Boston move every year, like when their lease is done, they'll move to a new place. Our microchurches kept changing. So by 2023, it was my 3rd or 4th microchurch. And I was so done. I was so done with like being vulnerable again, starting all over and being like, this is what I struggle with, yada, yada, yada. I was so done. And I was already burnt out in my workplace. And like that carries over to every part of your life, right? And I had no energy. And I think the second week I was like, oh, this community is useless because I know I said those exact words. It's like, this is useless because in a couple months we're all going to move and we're going to reset. So I don't really feel like I really want to invest in this community. I said that upright. And God was like, oh, you bet. Like, let's just see how this goes. And they ended up becoming a really huge part of that year where I decided to let go of my American dream and like move back to Korea, and they were with me every single step of the way. And it was the first time that my microchurch was predominantly male. Most of my microchurches were female. And this was the first time there were so many brothers. No, not in a romantic way.
How sad though.
Oh yeah. And I think it was really like refreshing to have like positive relationships with church brothers where it wasn't just like, oh, we're going to watch the Super Bowl, but like they genuinely cared about where's the burnout coming from? Like, why aren't you invested in community? Why have you given up on community? And they were like asking really good questions and they were listening.
Were any of them super sad to see you leave?
No, they were all like, I mean, I guess in a sense.
Because
But
I'm just wondering if there was any guy that actually really liked you.
no.
Oh.
None of them. We were very brother sister. Like
Really?
I was also like spiraling. Like I was really, really, really struggling with burnout. And I was not in a good place. And so they had a lot of compassion for me and a lot of empathy for me. And like they would pray over me and they would like encourage me. And I would share like what I talked about in therapy that week. And like I was like very, very vulnerable because I didn't care anymore. I was like, I'm never going to see you after this year. I'm just going to say whatever.
And it's like when you meet new people at a retreat, you can just say your deepest, darkest stuff and know you'll never see them again or something.
But actually, like that year, God answered so many prayers and he opened so many doors and they were able to witness those milestones with me.
Okay.
And so they were really amazed and they're like, this is what it means for God to like speak. When you're like, I don't know what God's voice is like. They were like, through your life and like through what you shared a month ago versus what's happening now, we can see how like God's like ministering to you and like opening doors. So I think my vulnerability was encouraging to them and their like you said, very laid backness was really refreshing to me. And the community that I gave up on ended up being the community I was really sad to say bye to.
Okay.
So, and then later on, like 6 months later, one of the sisters who was there the first week, I was like, I don't care, was like, oh yeah, I was a little surprised to hear you say that, but I'm so glad we're friends now. And I was like, I forgot that I used to say that about this community. And
yeah, you were kind of in a dark place.
I was in a dark place.
Yeah.
And God redeemed. And I was like, that's, I'm glad he surprised me. And he like challenged my assumption. Yeah.
Okay.
What about you? A friendship or community that surprised you by how deep it became?
Yeah. I don't know if I have any first person, but in terms of seeing it in action in ministry is how I would see it.
Yeah.
Because I always wanted to I always wanted to provide an atmosphere and community where people could be open and vulnerable. For me personally, it's interesting that I can facilitate it and create it, but I'm not good at doing it myself.
Oh, in your own life?
Yeah, in my own life. Other than like with people that I consider family or like my wife. But yeah, it's difficult to make friends when you get older for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not that great at it. I haven't given up on it though.
Yeah.
I like reaching out to people at our church and getting to know them. Yeah, I'm not that great at the going deep with people, but I think it's just that masculinity, old generation where, because even my best friend growing up, he and I never got deep, but we cared for each other deeply.
I see.
And that's how we know that we were really close. But I think us men have a hard time opening up to men. Like I for some reason, maybe it's because I have 4 sisters. I can open up to women a lot easier than I can open up with men.
To men.
Because
that's
we
so
have
sad.
like that, like we gotta be a man. Gotta be tough.
Size them up.
Yeah. So this was a really pretty deep dive into opening up about community, making friends. And I think ultimately it's a lifetime journey.
Yeah.
It's not something that you just become perfect at and then you're just an A+ friend for the rest of your life. It's something that I think ultimately comes down to what you give in is what you're going to get. And maybe this was a good reminder for us that wherever we go, when you go off to India, people, I don't know if I'll stay in Korea the whole time, but even here in Korea, I think we just both have to make better efforts in being deeper and more vulnerable.
And to stay open.
Yeah. And for me, like this conversation just kind of convicted me to be a better friend, especially to guys. So I think Hyojin made me just like want to be a friend with only her. Not that Hyojin, she didn't make me, but I just love being around my wife so much that I forget that it's probably healthy for me to have
other friendships. Yeah.
So after COVID, I knew that we needed to go back to church. So I think ultimately it's been pretty healthy for me. Yeah, it's a journey. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see where both of our lives go. But fortunately, at least for the foreseeable future, you'll be making trips back to Korea. I just hope your parents stay in Korea. And they don't go off to China again or something. And then Hannah's like, I have no reason to go to Korea anymore. I'll be like, wait, what? So they need to retire in Korea.
They kind of did, but
yeah,
I pray that God would keep them here.
Yeah, that's good. But anyways, you guys, let us know if you have any thoughts or whatever. Any comments would definitely be appreciated. In the meantime, we'll see you in the next episode. God bless. Peace.
Bye.